Hello, friends and brothers. This is Justin Jones with Masonic Improvement. I am joined with my co-host, Dennis Yates. And Dennis, do you want to introduce our guest?
Absolutely. He doesn't claim me, but this is my this is the mentor that I go to whenever I have something that might be a little controversial that I actually want to reel myself in on. I'll talk to Brad.
So you must talk to Brad a lot.
First. I do. But seriously though, he is a past Grand Order of our Grand Lodge of Texas. He is a past personal representative of the San Antonio Valley Scottish Rite. He is a past master of Davy Crockett Lodge. He is a past education committee member for the Grand Lodge of Texas. He is a lot of past, but he is not a has-been. This is one of my favorite people in the world, Brother Bradley Kohanke.
Thanks, Dennis. I appreciate that.
The intro gets more elaborate every time.
but it's all true, and that's the thing. You know, people know I talk a lot, but they know that I speak the truth. I speak my truth for sure.
Oh,
for sure.
Let's not get into our truths, okay?
Right.
Well, Brad, this is probably like the fourth time you've been on
so
here?
Yeah.
Man, you're like a regular. There's a good reason for that, though. You always bring.
I know he's gonna have to get a jacket. Also, we're gonna have to get him a purple jacket just for being one of our frequent flyers.
Oh, I should have worn my shirt. I should have worn my Masonic Improvement shirt.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I was looking for mine the last minute, couldn't find it, so don't feel bad.
Well, I did what any good Mason would do. Number one, I'm promoting my valley first and foremost. I'm promoting symbolism, and now for the great reveal.
We don't want to see your butt.
Oh my God, what's he doing?
This is last time I showed everybody the red vest that I had made, and this one is the gray one, and you can't really see the skulls, but all it is a bunch of skulls. So there are skulls in Freemasonry, but we keep them hidden under our coats.
They're all in Dennis's vest.
Right.
Well, Brad, for the newcomers here, because the channel's grown quite a bit since you first came on and introduced yourself. If you would just give us, you don't have to go into great detail unless you want to, but just tell us a little bit about your background, like who you are, what got you to the fraternity, and what your interests are in the fraternity.
And I apologize for not mentioning your book. Brad is also an author with one of the best books on the market. It's the Chicken Soup for the Soul for Freemasonry, and I'll let you describe it, Brad, now that I've done it.
No, that's okay. That's okay. It's called Light Reflections, but yeah, it's been out there for a little over a year now, and it was 10 years in the making, so I'm pretty proud of that. But I think Dennis covered all the high points. I mean, all the positions that I've held. The reason that I joined Freemasonry is probably the same as most of the guys that are watching this show. Is, you know, I was looking for a way to better understand my relationship to God and my place in the universe. And I had been kind of on a spiritual quest since the age of 16. And I used to order a lot of books from this specialty bookstore called the Twig in San Antonio. And I went in there one day and I had a list of books that I wanted to order. This was before the internet, before Amazon.com, before the big box bookstores. And one of the books that I was ordering was Duncan's Ritual. And the guy behind the counter asked me, "Are you a Mason?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Well, good, because if you were, you wouldn't be allowed to own this book." So I immediately told him I wanted 2 copies, because I wasn't supposed to have it, which meant I wanted it even more. But then he asked if I was interested in learning more about Freemasonry from Freemasons. And I said, yeah, absolutely. So he invited me to Davy Crockett Lodge, and I went and had dinner there. And a couple of weeks later, filled out a petition and joined in 1991. And I have not learned to say no to anything since. So
Well, given your Masonic resume, that's what it sounds like.
yeah.
But we're all better for
But
it.
exactly. I was going to make that there's a lot of people that don't say no and they like those feathers. But Brad, he could have gone to the Grand South, and he chose not to because that wasn't his calling. He wanted to focus on the mystic side of Freemasonry and not the administrative side. And I applaud you because you are intentional with your Freemasonry, unlike a lot of people that go through not knowing, not having direction. And you've been very intentional with your Freemasonry, and I applaud you. That everybody should know that.
Well, thanks, Dennis. I appreciate that. I mean, there was a time that I probably would have considered it, but having been close to the fire, so to speak, I realized that it really wasn't something that I wanted to get involved with. I much prefer the outskirts.
Yes.
And kind of delving into the spiritual aspects of the craft, and I'll leave the politics to everybody else.
Well, I had considered it at one point, and I never got close to the fire, but I saw the fire, and it was in a dumpster, and I decided not to have anything to do with it. So I probably never will.
That's a great analogy. That's awesome. I love that one.
Yeah. I've got an article from the Rocky Mountain Freemason that an unnamed brother forwarded to me that I'll have to send to you guys about that topic. I think you'll get a kick out of it. Probably do a whole show on it. So
yeah, I really would like that.
Yeah.
That's all I will say about that.
Yeah, I received it as well. It's I started reading it, but then I started drinking and visiting with another brother and stopped reading. So
well, someone send it to me, please.
It's a good article.
If I say the wrong thing, it's all because of Brother Scott McMahon. He forced me to stay at the pub instead of going to the EA degree, and we had a few rounds of Crown, and I will say that it was a very good and enlightening discussion that we had, and in fact, I think he's going to join our Valley soon. So I'm really excited about that because Scott's a really down to earth. No, he's really a down to earth brother, and he's looking at the mysticism as well.
Nice.
The gray area we like to play around in. We like to swim in. That's
all right, Justin. I just sent it to you via email. So
awesome. I appreciate that very much. Thank you. So one of the reasons we wanted to bring you onto the show, aside from your always excellent conversation, is that we would like to announce, what is this, our fourth speaker.
You're going to do it right now? I thought we were going to do it later.
Too late now.
Too late now.
I try to build it up. But he just has to. He just wanted to say it before I did. That's what it was. Go ahead.
Our fourth speaker for the Masonic Improvement Building a Better Brotherhood Summit, the one and only Bradley Kohanke. And I'm telling you, this is why I'm so excited. This is why I'm so pumped up about the summit. Like, you guys do not understand. And we kind of pull the veil back a little bit with each and every speaker we introduce. You do not understand how pumped I am about this lineup. It is going to be like the dream team of Masonic speakers at Corpus Christi on September 16th. It is going to be thebomb.com. It's going to be awesome.
I'm really looking forward to it. I know the speakers, and Lucas Minton from Arkansas is one of my closest friends up here now, and he's going to be fabulous. And I know Chris is coming, and he's a pain in my butt, but I love him anyway.
Well, I figured y'all keep each other in check.
Yeah.
I'm excited because we go to different events and we listen to different presentations. We listen to different ideologies, and it all seems to be a reflection of the surface, and very, very wide, but it's only about this deep. And instead, we've got just one little well, and it just keeps going and keeps going and keeps going. And not only that, after the talks and after the Master Mason's degree, we're all going to sit on the beach and further those discussions, and it's going to be awesome. Awesome.
The night
That's where
will not be long
Freemasonry-
enough for all the fellowship.
I know.
That's the biggest
You have
problem.
no idea how many people from Arkansas are coming.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we had our
Bring the whole
ceremony of remembrance and renewal last night at the Scottish Rite, and there must have been 12 guys say they were coming. Some of them are bringing their wives. There's a whole
Yes.
contingent of Arkansas Freemasons.
Oh, wow. Well, point them
Nice.
to the link that I'll post in this video, because we're not selling tickets at the door. So hopefully they've all got tickets, or we'll get tickets, and they're going
Yeah,
fast.
I'll share it with Lucas and Tim and the rest of those guys that are coming. So
Awesome.
Yes. And I'll talk with Lucas as well, and remind him to tell them to call me. That way we can get all of them on the top floor with us at the hotel, because we've just about got the whole thing all decked out for all of our visitors, and I'm excited about that.
And I'm telling you,
That is so cool.
The top floor of that hotel is going to be.
it's gonna be fun, man.
It's going to be a
And
think
I
tank
can't
for
believe you
real.
got the degree on the Lex. That's huge.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say, Tom Wimberly, he was responsible for bringing the Lexington to Corpus, and he's assisted in making sure that everything gets done that has to do with Lexington, as well as assisting Oso Lodge, who is the one who actually puts on the degree. But he has been a tremendous help with everything that we're doing. And same with Mike King. Mike King has secured so much for us and made this such a. I couldn't have done it without either one of them, because they are the nuts and bolts of Freemasonry down there in Corpus. They really are.
Yeah.
And Bo Lindley's going to take me around to all the lodges so that we can talk about this, as well as the Scottish Rite coming up for this reunion. And man, without their support, that's the beauty of our brotherhood, right? We meet these brothers while we travel, and then once we share those moments and have that real connection through discussions of Freemasonry and through discussions of the mystery schools, and through all these discussions, they become people that you can call, and they're going to answer that call, and they're going to do it tenfold. If they can help you, they're going to do it more than what you need, so that it's successful, so that you're successful, so that the event's successful. So hats off to everybody, especially all of you brothers that are coming down for us and doing this. I'm so grateful for the people we know that actually like us and love us and care enough to come down and let us not sink with the ship.
when you create an event like this, especially when it's the first time, it's scary, right? Because you don't know if your effort's going to be in vain, right? You don't know what kind of support you're actually going to get until things start rolling. And granted, September 16th is a long way away, right? But the support and the excitement and the interest has far exceeded my expectations and my hopes. Like I said, like the tickets, they are selling quickly. And everyone that I've spoken to about this is very excited. And so, I mean, that creates excitement with me, because that lets me know we're on the right track. I always felt like doing something like this is just a natural extension. It's the natural progression of what we're doing, right? Let's take what we talk about on the internet and bring it in person. And but it's a big shift, right? And I'm very excited to see the enthusiasm in the fraternity for this event. So I'm so excited and so looking forward to going to this and hanging out with Brad again and hearing what everyone has to say. And and just wear myself thin in general. But it's going to be just amazing.
Well, you guys got the right people involved down there, that's for sure. Tom Wimberly is one of the best Masons I know. It's just all around super guy.
Mhm.
Will bend over backwards to do anything for you. And the same holds true for Bo Lindley and Mike King. Mike King has worked on that degree on the Lexington for years.
Yes.
He was running it when I conferred it, and that was back in 2017, 2016, something like that.
Wow.
But
I didn't know you conferred it, but it does not surprise me either.
Well, and he is also the a member of the Knights of Mecca, and he's the one who reached out to them to get them to come down and put on the degree in full costume and full, regalia and everything, so that it makes it just a little bit more special than the degree that you will see when you go to somebody's lodge or something like that. So, so much has gone into this, so much care and so much brotherly love, and of course we know some of the brothers that are in the Knights of Mecca, and they're just some of our favorite people in the world. But if it hadn't been for Mike initiating it, there's a certain way that they like to be asked to do it, and he knows how to do it. So, he's the man. He made it happen. And
for anyone who has not seen the master's degree upon the Lexington, it is on board a retired World War II. Hold on, let me back up. A haunted, retired World War II aircraft carrier that is now a museum. And it is, I'll just say it is badass. I mean, the whole setup that they got there is just awesome. And then the room that we use for the degree, we're gonna pack it up, man.
oh yeah,
I don't know if you thought about it, but
it'll be
pack that thing up.
It'll be standing room only, I'm sure.
Yes.
And by the way, I know you guys are going to tell people this, but they need to bring their dues cards to get in.
Yes.
Good point.
And bring some cash, because Oso Naval Lodge usually sells caps and pins to commemorate your experience there. And it's totally worth it. I still wear my cap.
I didn't see that last year.
I have both.
Wow. I guess I just walked right by them. But yeah, that's really cool. I'll have to get one this year.
Well, make sure they're selling them, because if they weren't planning on it, maybe you can plant the seed. And
I mean, it's going to be
they use it as a fundraiser,
Yeah.
Yes.
They definitely should.
And they usually have paper aprons, but it's always nice if you bring your own apron, and everybody has their lodge apron that they wear to lodge. That's always a cool experience, especially when you have the out of town guests and they have their big ornate aprons, and different jurisdictions, they have some pretty cool aprons, and I love it when they come in from different states and we see all the different aprons and things like that. So bring your apron too. I mean, that's just a cool experience. It tells a little bit about you. It's not about the level of Freemasonry you're at, but it is about the wisdom that you've gained through Freemasonry, and those aprons usually express that for you without you ever having to say a word.
So Brad,
it's cool.
I know I'm completely putting you on the spot. Do you have an idea? Which you should be used to, right? Do you have an idea of what you'll be presenting on for the summit? And if you do, could you give us just kind of a taste?
Well, the original plan was to go esoteric and talk about Freemasonry's connection to the ancient mystery schools. But I think I'm going to expand on that a little bit, because honestly, this is a leadership forum, and in addition to talking about that connection, I want to bring out the idea and the fact that we're kind of losing our connection to our history, and it's unfortunate, but it just seems that as we progress, we're getting further and further away from our roots. And we've talked about traditional observance lodges, and we've talked about the Masonic Restoration Foundation, and all these organizations that are trying to maintain that connection with our origins. But it just seems like as time goes by, that contingent of Masons that are trying to turn it into a political environment, political animal environment, are getting away from what we were supposed to be initially.
Yeah.
And I don't think people joined the fraternity 100 years ago, 200 years ago, to simply collect badges and laurels for themselves and somehow get some sense of accomplishment or leadership within a small fraction of the population at large. You know, they're leaders within the fraternity, and they've accomplished something, and they get to direct something and manipulate something and manage people. But it's a fraternity, you know, and the leadership seems to have kind of lost track of what their role is as servant leaders and representatives of the mass of Masons. And I think it would do us well to re-examine what it is we were originally founded to do, and that's to teach, you know, moral values and a spiritual connection to each other and to divinity, and understand our place in the universe. I mean, that's why I joined.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine that's why most people join. I don't know if it continues after they've been a member for a while, but
we've got a member of our inner circle. He's not a Mason yet. He's looking to join in New York, and he says the exact same things as you. And he directly says, as a young man, I'm looking for that spiritual connection. I'm looking to understand God. I've grown up learning all this stuff on the internet, but I want that personal connection. And I need that, you know, those rites of passage. I need those, you know, different teachings from the mystery schools. He's the reason why I tell people we better be prepared for when these brothers come in, because we've watered it down so much. And I'm not saying it's any one person's fault. It's a collective, right?
Yeah,
but
it seems to be a mindset. Yeah.
Right. So we've watered it down so much that these new brothers coming in, they're looking for exactly what you're talking about, Brad. And you know, in reality, back in the day, you had your political leaders and stuff like that. But the teachers of the mystery schools, they were the leaders that moved the hearts of the people. Mm-hmm. You know, the leaders politically were tyrants, right? The leaders of the mystery schools, they were the ones who opened the hearts and minds of the next generation. And that's how we get what we have, because of everything that they did. I think you're on the money.
I would also add, and if you plan on dipping into this in your conversation, then I'll stop. But I may be totally off the mark, but I feel pretty confident. I think you mentioned that as a fraternity, we have shifted away from our roots, from our origin. I would even go as far as to say, as a civilization, like Western civilization, we have shifted away from our roots. And by that I mean, like, if you look from American perspective and look at like Washington D.C. and the original buildings, the old buildings, like everything was heavily influenced by like Roman and Greek architecture, things like that, the roots of Western civilization. And we were heavily influenced by this. And we used to study Latin and read the classics. And we've gotten away from that. Those old classic buildings now are getting demolished and replaced with soulless, you know, gray boxes. And they would never build that today, anything like that today. And so I think we are a symptom of something that is greater, and that we're shifting away from, as an entire society, away from our origins and our roots. And I think it's to all of our detriment. But I definitely agree for sure that we're seeing that in the fraternity. It is not the mystery school that I believe influenced us originally. Yeah, that could change, but I don't think I think we've drifted really far off course.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think what you're seeing is society at large influencing Freemasonry instead of the opposite.
Yes.
I mean, if you go
Yep.
back to what was it in the Freemasonry and the Fabric of America, Brother Dreyfus from Wisconsin was talking about how there were these great revolutions in history. And they were in the United States of America, and they were in Mexico and South America and Hungary and Italy. And he started naming off the leaders of these great revolutions. And, you know, Benito Juarez and George Washington and Pashut in Hungary, and every one of them was a member of the fraternity. And he said they were great revolutions because they were designed at taking power away from a tyrant and giving it to the people.
Mhm.
And you progress onward into the American century, and you look at the leaders that were in World War II, and MacArthur and Bull Halsey and all of these guys that were kind of the leaders, Franklin Roosevelt and Churchill. They were all members of the fraternity. And it wasn't that the fraternity was teaching revolution or teaching them how to be political animals and go to war and win wars. It was teaching them these moral values that they then incorporated into their belief systems. And that's why we were the good guys. We were teaching these guys moral values and lessons and their place in society and servant leadership, and how, you know, they were a representative of the people, and they took it to heart, and they did something in society. They influenced society instead of vice versa. And what you're seeing now is society influence us, and it's having a
Right.
negative impact on us, and it's affecting our ability to teach those moral values to the rest of the world. And we're supposed to be the bastion of those
Yes.
moral values. We're supposed to be the last man standing with the flag saying, hey, remember, you know, and causing that light to be reborn. And if it fell to us right now, I'm not sure that as a group we could do it. But
No.
Right.
there are smaller groups within that larger group, like this one here, that is trying to keep that alive. And the more we can do to promote that, the better.
I agree.
Yeah, I think, you know, with what you're saying in layman's terms, how I see it is that through the lessons that we've learned, we have learned to say the buck stops here. So we are accountable for what we see and what we do, and we believe that that it's okay to say no, it's not okay. And no, we shouldn't be doing this. We should be doing the right, you know, we should be looking back at history for the lessons instead of just going through the motions.
Yeah.
And so I think that you're right on the money, and we do have a few here and there, and you're absolutely right. You know, and we've talked about this before. Everybody says you're just not high enough. Well, it's not how high you are. You end up having pockets of circles of people that you associate with, that you know, and through those little circles you end up creating change, because all of you have the same mindset of moving forward in the most positive way we can to get, and utilizing the tools that were handed down to us to progress ourself and our communities and so forth.
And you guys remember the roundtable we had after MasonicCon up in Fort
Yes.
Worth?
And
Yes.
we're going to
We
do
talked
that.
about-
We're going to do that here at the
We
summit.
talked about Chuck Dunning's comments about there being kind of a rebirth of Freemasonry, a renaissance, so to speak.
Yes.
Yes.
And it sticks with me still today. He was so right. The guys that are joining now are joining for the right reasons. And I see a really bright future for the fraternity.
Yes.
As these guys progress, as long as they don't quit, as long as they don't get discouraged, as long as they don't get forced out by these political animals that use the fraternity to gain laurels for themselves and pat themselves on the back. If we can bring them into the fold and give them what they're looking for, and they stick around long enough, they'll become wardens and masters of their lodges and members of the Grand West, and eventually run for office. And, maybe the fraternity will again become what it was supposed to be.
Yeah, Brother Dunning made a big impact, which I think that's just wherever he goes, that's what he does. But he made a big impact on me, and I often refer to what you're talking about. Also, his speech about the Masonic Renaissance, and I think we're starting to see it. And it's becoming more and more of a contrast between healthy and unhealthy lodges. The healthy lodges are thriving. I mean, they're thriving. You got appended organizations trying to form and merge there. You got people moving their memberships there, and the others are just, they're scraping by. So it's already happening. And what I mean by that is Masonic Renaissance doesn't mean every lodge just spontaneously starts getting members. What that means is that the lodges that are doing the right things and adopting the right practices are going to grow and thrive because they're offering, like what you said, what people are actually looking for. The Masons that join and aren't finding what they're looking for, will either leave or move their memberships. And those that cannot step up, it's sink or swim at this point.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, the Masons used to be the point of the spear as far as progress was concerned. We were the ones that were, and not only
we had the
change, but
presses.
we were instigating change. We were progressing society, and now we're like, as a group, we seem to be just clinging on with tooth and nail to the old ways of doing things. And there's still lodges out there that have fax machines, for God's sake. It's ridiculous. I mean,
and no printers.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Connect with dial-up
modems, yeah.
to the GeoCity website.
That's too progressive.
I was gonna say my lodge doesn't even have internet. If our secretary has to use his own internet to be able to take care of things because our lodge doesn't have it. And that's a shame. I love my lodge. It's the oldest building in continuous use, and
we have internet in Goliad.
Well, we certainly do.
Has it made it that far south yet?
No, AT&T
I'm the one that brings it, but hey. We'll just skip
That's
this
one of the
part
first things I did
conversation.
when I got to Scottish Rite, is look at what bills we were paying, and I noticed we were paying $30 a month for a fax machine. I'm like, what do we get on this fax that we need to keep it? Oh, we get ads for roofing companies every once in a while. I'm like, all right, well, we'll cancel that.
Yeah. Paying to get ads. That's not great.
That's funny. But yes,
revolutionary.
We machine, damn it.
Right. But we tend to forget about the little things, that the conveniences that this world has that we don't use in Freemasonry to make ourselves more efficient in doing our. If we would jump into today's world in efficiency and technology and just administration, we would have more time to get to the fun stuff, to have those talks on Freemasonry and have those talks about the mystery schools and go out to dinner and have fellowship, and instead of having green beans at the dining hall or whatever, have a nice meal and fellowship and enjoy your Freemasonry. If we would just get it together, it's and you see brothers trying, but they, for some reason, they just can't get it, and I don't understand why.
There's a mentality that Freemasonry only happens inside a Masonic lodge, right? We're brothers, but we only really meet once a month. We only hang out once a month. If I see you at Walmart, I'll smile and shake your hand, but other than that, we're not having anything to do with each other, right? You call them brothers, and that's not an accident, because a brother is your family, right? When you allow someone to join a lodge, they're joining your family.
That's right.
And you don't just distantly associate. Well, usually you don't distantly associate with your family. Like we all got that one or two members, right? We're like, hey, what's up?
Oh,
But
I am that one or two.
I got one or
we all
or
have a
all.
dentist. We all have a dentist in our family,
Yeah,
right?
that's right. That's right.
But my point I'm getting at is do things outside the lodge, man. Go to the Top Golf or make a plan to meet somewhere and bring your families and go eat. Do these
Go to a
things.
gun range.
Go to a gun range.
Yeah,
Hey, man,
whatever.
I have been up here 6 weeks, and the Scottish Rite is sponsoring a trip for the brethren to the Arkansas Travelers minor league baseball game. They've got
Oh,
98
cool.
people going.
Yes.
How many?
98.
Wow. We're actually
Minor
playing
league
something
so fun.
something like that at Hillsboro because local town Cleburne has a minor league team, and we're talking about getting one of the booths. And some of the brothers have been there and got a booth, and it's like it's I mean they just bring you food, and like it's great spot. Say that sounds like a fun thing to do with family.
You know, you can go to, if you're in a rural lodge and you're like, well, we can't do that because we don't have any professional sports. Go to the high school football game as a group.
Right.
I mean, that's just as much fun, if not more fun. You can root
Friday
for the
Night Lights, baby.
crying out loud.
Friday Night Lights.
Yeah.
It's that's big. That's Texas football right there, and everybody loves it. I don't know anybody that doesn't like high school football.
Yeah,
That's right.
it's more difficult to come up with excuses than to come up with solutions, because ultimately excuses are going to kill your lodge. Excuses don't accomplish anything. That's why I say they're more difficult, because in the long term it creates more issues. Just do it, man. And sometimes you gotta drive 30 minutes.
Find a way.
Yeah.
Stop saying no, this won't work, and just find a way.
Sitting around with a handful of guys in a dying lodge and complaining about the state of things, and complaining that no one shows up, and complaining that there's no interest. None of these things are going to fix things. No one's going to join an organization where a handful of grumpy past masters sit around and complain to each other. Right? You have to reach out. You have to take initiative. You have to do things, and then be sure people know that you did things. Post it on Facebook. Take pictures. That's how people know you're a living organization. That's you're enjoying each other's company, because then people that are looking for those things will see what you have to offer, and they will join. There's a local lodge that, like, their big thing is fundraising. They're huge on fundraising. And I'm not huge on fundraising. I think we all know, if you listen to this for any period of time, how I really feel about fundraising.
Right.
But they're growing. They're doing the lodge building is they're about to get a new lodge building, actually. I mean, they have so much money and they have so many people joining. Now they're joining because they're seeing fundraising, and that's what they're promoting. So that's what they're joining for. But my point is,
it's the culture.
It's the culture. Promote yourself, and people that want what you are offering will come to you.
And every lodge has its own personality, and they all focus on different things. Some lodges are into education, which is what I like. Mm-hmm. But again, other lodges are into the charitable aspects of Freemasonry. That's fine. Some of them are into history. Yeah. Some of them are into, familial connections. Some of them are in it to meet people. Everybody's joins for a different reason, but ultimately, there are lessons to be taught by this fraternity. And I'm not saying do away with any of that other stuff. Just don't forget where we came from and what we're for.
Absolutely.
I think you hit the nail on the head, in that ultimately a lodge has to have an identity. It has to have a personality. It can't just exist, right? Like we said, like, I'm not big on fundraising, but if that's what you're passionate about in your community, be that lodge. Yeah. And they're thriving because of it. It's not my Freemasonry. It's not my flavor, but more power to them, right? There's like Hillcrest. Hillcrest is a very beautiful building, very popular. They do a lot of things right. That's not for everybody, right? And that's okay, but more power to Hillcrest.
Is that Kyle's lodge?
Yes.
They're very successful.
They're very
successful. So is Fort Worth 148. They're very successful. Yes. They have their own thing that they started, and they do it well.
You know what they all have in common? They've all been guests on this podcast.
But if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And your Masonic Lodge needs to have one, preferably one, maybe two things that's just what you push. I'm not saying you if you're a charitable lodge, you shove education to the side or anything like that, because no Masonic Lodge should do anything like that. But definitely, I mean, make that your identity. And likewise, if you're big on education, it's okay to still have some charity stuff that you do. That's fine. If you want to have your annual fish fry, go do that. That's fine. But if you want to be the education lodge, that's what you're known as, and that's what you push. And that's what people will join you for. Otherwise, you're just floating out there with you're just a ship out in the ocean with no paddle, no sail, and
you have to have a product that is appealing to a particular group.
Exactly.
It's all about the value.
Otherwise, you're just sitting there hoping somebody will knock on your door.
Yeah.
And that's just not going to happen.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Yes.
Especially when the door is internet and you don't have Facebook or a website.
Yeah.
I got a MySpace.
You know,
I used
there's
to have
something to
my
be
MySpace
said.
account, but I can't remember my password.
Yeah, I've been talking about starting another one up just to have one, just to see who else is on.
Yeah, I can see that.
Tom is still on there. That's about it.
Tom, yeah.
Right. That's funny.
I'm willing to bet Dennis's MySpace had some 90s emo music on it.
We don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, I did. 90s music on there.
Man, you can't go through the musical world without talking about the 80s and 90s, man. That was some of the best music ever.
Yeah.
But right along with what y'all are saying, I love the traditional lodges. I love the way that they progress in and out and all the aspects that go around it. But to Brad's point, if you went through all the motions and didn't have any education, didn't have any kind of anything else, it would be just the same as any other lodge that you go to, where you just go in, read the minutes, and go home, and you would lose your membership and you would die. That you still have to, even if you have your niche, you still need to have a little bit extra, because most brothers, kind of like what you said earlier, Brad, most brothers, they join because they know they're looking for something. They don't always know what they're looking for. Mm-hmm. So once they get in there, if they see, well, this is all we're doing, I thought there was going to be more. It's probably because they thought they were going to be learning about the mystery schools. They thought they were going to be.
That's the bait and switch.
Yeah.
Right.
And they also probably thought that they were going to be able to connect with, there would be this generational connection from son to father to grandfather to great grandfather. These guys that joined because their grandfather was a Mason and they're interested in what their grandfathers were all about. Problem is, they're not learning anything. They're not really getting what their grandfathers got.
Right.
So
there's no
they still don't understand
mentorship.
why their grandfathers joined. And the people today, they make most of their connections via the internet, and most of the connections that they make are like-minded individuals. So they're just talking in echo chambers. Mm-hmm. They choose who their friends are on Facebook, and they only want to be friends with people who share their own opinions. They don't get to get involved in debates where they have civil discussions and maybe change each other's minds based on the facts. They're all just screaming at the top of their lungs, and everybody's nodding and agreeing with each other. And that's why society at large today can't have a civil discussion. If you disagree with me, then you're hurting me. Your words are hurting me. Whereas if they would just make this generational connection and go to a lodge, and a lodge would provide them with an environment where they could have these safe discussions and wouldn't be criticized and could voice an opinion and maybe change somebody's mind or have their own mind changed.
I'm so triggered that you would say this.
At large would benefit from it.
This conversation has me so triggered.
I know.
I need to go to my safe space.
My words cause you pain.
That's so funny. I feel the exact same way, and
oh, you're triggered also.
I'm sure that many have experienced that trigger here lately on Facebook, because there's just certain things that just blow my mind that we don't do. And then on Facebook, you have people that just outright say hateful stuff, just hateful stuff. And I tell these brothers, I say, look, if you can debate with me, give me good reason, I am happy to change my stance on any given view if you can give me logical reason why I should, and discuss it with me, and not just say, something hurtful just to shut me up. That's, why are we doing that to each other? As I've said 1,000 times before, peace and harmony is not an end result. Peace and harmony is how we approach each other in discussion. We go to each other looking for that intelligent discussion that sharpens each other, and we're able to walk away as brothers knowing that we love each other, and we just had a really intense discussion on something that we both ended up walking away learning something.
Well, we've lost the art of rhetoric, which is one of the liberal arts we're talking about. Go read Plato's Republic. I mean, it is rhetoric at its finest. Yeah. Myself included, nobody's capable of having conversations like that anymore. It's a lost art. Bradley probably can, but the rest of us,
yeah,
the rest of us are incapable.
We didn't mention before that he's also previous HR executive, and so he can definitely have those discussions.
Yeah. That just means I can talk a lot without actually saying anything.
Oh, you're a politician.
Exactly. You can maneuver through any conversation and come out unscathed.
There we go.
Where the rest of us were just battered and bruised.
Nice. Well, very cool. Well, so definitely appreciate you coming on, Brad. I mean, it's always great having you. And this like, just revisiting summer real quick, it's gonna be awesome. Like having a taste of what you're gonna talk about. We have talked about this before. You and I and Dennis and Chris, Brother Williams. We have had this conversation, and so it's something that I'm passionate about. So I'm really looking forward to you just laying it all out for everybody. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
That said,
I may get ostracized for it by some people, but
if we don't,
not the ones coming to art.
If we're not collectively ostracized by the end of this year, we've done something wrong.
Exactly. And
you're
you're in a safe place. You're outside the bubble. You don't have to worry about.
He's in a safe place. Yeah.
Yes.
we need to talk about that. I'm not sure there is a safe place anymore.
Oh, I'm telling you.
Do you have any final thoughts that you'd like to add as we wrap this up, Brother Kohanke?
I just like I said the last time, I'm really looking forward to the event in September, and I agree with you. This is the natural progression for you guys to make, and it is the next step in your building a better brotherhood. And I applaud you for the ambition and the wherewithal, and the willingness to reach out to people like Tom and Bo and Brother King. And
we need the mentor generation. Sorry, I just had to throw that in there.
But for everybody out there who's listening to this, who feels like they're on an island and they're looking for what it is that we're talking about and they can't find it, reach out to Justin or Dennis and they'll try to find it for you. Mm-hmm. And they'll hook you up with like-minded brethren in your area, so that you don't have to be alone. And if you can just get together in these small circles, those circles will grow and we can have an impact on the fraternity at large. Mm-hmm. And if we can impact the fraternity, we can impact society.
Yes, absolutely.
That's why he's one of our speakers. I couldn't say that. That's why I'm just going to be a listener.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
When is everybody? That was so funny.
I have some
Everybody
healthy
rolled
skepticism.
at the same time. They almost all went the same. There was
Did Dennis just say, I'm just going to be a listener?
Yeah. Thank
yeah.
you. April Fool's was some time ago.
Yeah,
then.
right.
Oh, yeah, weeks
That's
ago.
past. Yeah.
So before Justin and I give our closing thoughts, we ought to go ahead and let the guests, if they have any, or our inner circle, if they have any questions for Brad before.
Let's let them ask after, because it simplifies the editing process, if that makes sense.
Okay, that's fine.
So
that's fine.
yeah, we'll do our wrap ups, and then we'll open it up for the guests. I want to say, first and foremost, thank you again, Brad, for coming onto the show. Always a pleasure. Thank you for your willingness to come speak at the summit. It is brothers like you that will make or break the summit, and you're gonna make it. I mean, you're gonna make it just a legendary event. So very excited to have you. No pressure, but just super excited to have you here. You also made a comment. You applauded the willingness, and I probably said this, but I haven't said it enough. You applauded our willingness to reach out and make this happen. This would not be the state it is right now without Dennis. Like, it is, he's the yin to my yang, man. Like we complement each other very well, and one of my weak points is the human connection. So I'm very good. I'm very good at editing. I like to think I'm good at ideas. I like to think I'm decent enough in person, but as far as like pulling strings and reaching out to people and making those connections and leveraging or whatever it is he does, I'm not good at that. Like I'm terrible at that. So like the hotel, the venue, the guests, this was all Dennis. This is all Dennis's work. The summit would not happen without Dennis, or would not be at the scale that it's going to be. So if I haven't said it enough, I'll just point it out right now. Like granted, September 17th, I might be like, man, Dennis, you really screwed the pooch on this. But as of right now,
exactly.
Right now,
put it all on me there. I was
right
thinking
now,
that as you were talking.
the way it's all shaping up, like he calls me, like he messages me like every other day, like, hey, I got great news about the event. And it's I mean, there's been a few setbacks, but they're always countered with huge bounce forward. And so my hat's off to Dennis. Definitely appreciate everything you bring to the show. Speaking of everything you bring to the show, I'll also go ahead and shout out Masonic Muscle. They give Dennis a great shout out in their latest episode.
Yeah, that was awesome.
So,
and I'm dropping the gauntlet, man. I'm calling you out. That was so funny.
If you don't
pace myself,
Muscle,
okay. So what he's referring to is that they said I need to pace myself. If you can't keep up with this old man, you just need to stay home. Stay home and drink a protein shake and catch on up, Caesar. We love you, but you just catch on up.
I was listening on the way to work to that, and I almost had to pull over because I was laughing so hard. So listen to Masonic Muscle's latest episode. Dennis gets a shout out. It's definitely worth it. And
Justin gets
Jamie Starrett's on it.
I get the one that really captures my sparkling personality.
Do you have any?
That was so bad.
You know, any final thoughts, Dennis?
I would. As just like Brad said, we really do care about this fraternity, and we're not just we're guarding the West Gate at the same time. So when you contact us, we're gonna screen you before we send you to anybody. But we want to make sure that it's really the right fit for you, because not everybody is the right fit, and you may not benefit from joining our fraternity, just like I may not benefit from joining the Elks Club or whatever. You know, nothing against you, Jason. I love you. But you're right. But seriously, in all seriousness, today, as a matter of fact, we got a message on the Scottish Rite Facebook page. Somebody wanted to join the page, and I said, "Are you wanting to join?" And he said he's interested in joining. And I said, "Are you wanting to join the Scottish Rite, or are you wanting to become a Freemason?" Those are two different conversations. So we're going to screen and see kind of what's going on in your head, and then make the right move. With this particular brother, I was able to forward him on to Fort Worth 148, and they will take it from here with their awesome process of how they make brothers. And I feel fully confident that not only will they do their job very well, but the candidate will benefit tremendously from that connection. So we are trying to build a better brotherhood by piecing people together with the right fit, not just a fit, not just throwing you in there. So I wanted to add that little bit, because that's a very important part that we forget sometimes, is that, like we spoke on with the different cultures and ideologies of lodges, we need to make sure that we are responsible to you, our listeners, and to our fraternity, and do this the right way. So when we ask those questions of you, when you check on us and we ask those questions, don't feel nervous or anything. Just answer honestly, and we'll get you where you need to go. But otherwise, I'm just grateful for everything that you've done, Justin. And from our very first interview, it was just a knock out of the park, man. It was just a home run. I knew right then that we were meant to talk. And with Brad, and I'm gonna try not to cry like I did at the Scottish Rite,
Pace yourself,
as he was leaving us.
Pace yourself.
I know, right? I met Brad at officer leadership training. He was one of the committee members that was giving the presentations, and he and Chris found me. They found me. I was lost, and they found me. And when he took me in and started mentoring me, and Chris started working with me, and my wife loves Chris more than she loves me, but that's a whole nother story. But when they took she knows that I'm too close to you, so she's not. But seriously, in all seriousness, when they found me, and I started finding my people, and I hope that every Mason has that experience. If you're not getting the Freemasonry that you thought you were looking for, even if it's shifted since you become a Mason, because that happens too, then travel, meet brothers, talk to the people that really pique your interest, and get to know them, because more than likely they have some excellent advice for you. They have the willingness and the love for not only you but the fraternity, that they're going to guide you properly. And I just wanted to say that there's not many people I admire as much as Bradley Kohanke. There really isn't. And Chris is up there. I love him to death, but he's not Bradley Kohanke to me. And so
I'm gonna call him as soon as we're done.
I know you will.
You're
And
making the
as soon
summit
as he
really
calls
awkward.
me, I'm going to say, no, Chris, you're the one. You're the one.
Wow.
Don't watch the interview with us and Chris, because
Hey,
I said the same thing.
I said final thoughts, not confess your love.
Yeah.
Right. So I just want to say that, but in all seriousness, though, that's the importance of finding good mentors in your life, in your journey, to help you to experience the Freemasonry that you were looking for.
Mm-hmm.
So travel, find your mentors, You know, they're not always going to show themselves in your lodge. Find them, and they'll find you. I'm testament to that. They'll find you. So with that being said, thank you, brothers. As always, keep it between the points.
If you would like Dennis as a mentor, reach out to me and I will send you his phone number and his MySpace link.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'll make you one of my 8
number.
friends. I'll make you one of my 8 favorite friends.
Yeah. Well, thanks everybody for coming on to the show. At this point, we got some inner circle members on here. Oscar or Jason or Charles, do any of y'all have any questions or any comments or anything you'd like to add, just throw out there? Oscar, I know you got your question.
Well, if you want to know my opinion of Brad, the reason I went to the Fort Worth Masonic Con was because he popped up as one of the speakers, and Brad's always somebody that I guess when I'm trying to find out if something is legitimate in Freemasonry or what I should or shouldn't listen to, he's the guy I go to. So when he popped up as a speaker, I was like, oh, okay, well, okay, maybe this is worth my while and stuff. So yeah, I'm glad to see that he's going to be down there in Corpus Christi, and of course, just glad to see him as a friend of mine. So
thank you for letting us see your legitimacy, Brad.
Thanks for the compliment, Jason.
I was gonna say, Jason didn't call you before he started watching us on this podcast. I can almost guarantee that.
Oscar, I saw you unmute there. Do you have something?
Yeah, I had the same question I usually ask all the other interviewees. What is your 2-minute elevator speech for why someone should become a Freemason?
Ooh, that's more of a 5-minute.
Yeah,
And you thought I'll put you on the
elevator
spot.
speech has changed every 2 weeks for the last 10 years.
Yes.
You know, I guess if you were to ask me right now, just why should I become a Freemason? The first thing that I would do is ask you what it is in life that you're looking for, and then pattern my response to that. But it's only because Freemasonry has so much to offer. You know, we mentioned earlier that so many people join for so many different reasons. You know, some people join because their fathers and grandfathers or great grandfathers were Masons, and they're interested in what it is that drew them to the fraternity. Some people are interested in the history of Freemasonry and how it's affected society globally for the last several hundred years. Some people join for the charitable aspects, and some people join for the education. I joined for to further my spiritual quest, and I can speak to that specifically because it has enabled me to find my place in the world, find my place religiously, and better understand my relationship to God. And I would say that if any of those things are things that you're looking for, then you can find it here. But you know, I'm not really one of those guys that tries to convince people to join the fraternity. I'm still kind of you got to come to it of your own free will and accord. My dad was a Mason, and I figured since he didn't invite me that I must not be worthy. And it wasn't until I called him after I had gone to that lodge and turned in my petition and told him that I had petitioned the lodge. And he said, "Oh my God, I thought you'd never ask." I said, "Geez, you know, it would be nice to know that it's not an invitation only body. It's you got to ask to progress." So
yeah, it's a huge misconception.
Yeah. We got to do something to change that at large.
Yes.
I didn't really answer your question, Oscar, and it's because I don't really have a set speech like that. Sorry.
No, you did. No, you did. It was perfect, honestly.
Yeah.
That is a good answer.
I don't know that my answer would be much different, to be frank with you, because I also am not. I'm big on promoting ourselves. but I'm not big on selling ourselves, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm big on being transparent about certain things, not everything, but certain things that we do. But I'm also not big on like, hey, you should join it. This is why. Like, this is what we offer, and if you like it, you come knock. But if not, then that's fine too.
It would be nice to include in our advertising campaigns the fact that you're never going to be invited. You have to ask us.
Right. Don't wait to be invited. That should be.
Oh,
our
that's a
bumper
good tagline.
There you go.
sticker.
Because you'll be
I'm
waiting a
full of-
long time.
Yes, I'm full of genius ideas, but none of them make me any real money. So, for what it's worth.
Better than what I was thinking. I was thinking, come join us, or maybe don't. It's up to you.
That's awesome.
Wonderful.
Well, on behalf of Brother Charles Smith from up in Lubbock, he sent us a message and said thank you for your time and wisdom, Brad, and we certainly do. And I love it that he shows up so often, and Brother Smith has been having a tough time, and so you brothers keep him in your prayers, lift him up, because he's doing okay, but prayers are always good. I just wanted to throw that out there, because we can always use all the positive energy we can get, because that's what we are, is just a ball of energy, right? And we can use all the positive energy that we can get.
Facts, man. All right, everybody. Thank you all again for contributing, making this an excellent episode. Definitely looking forward to seeing this hit live on YouTube. So I'll see all y'all in the next one, man. This was great.